Hello there, fellow NPCs. I'm Scythe, and today we're getting back into the house in Fata Morgana, Assento Dele. And we are very close to the death of Imion here. So I think we're just rounding things up, but we will see. We will see how much can Michelle learn from him. Yeah, we will see. So that's it. Let's go. Between the two of us, a guy who probably couldn't overpower a rabbit and someone on Death Stamp's doorstep, covering up the stained glass window was a grueling task. That day marked a turning point in our relationship, though. It was an insignificant change, something I doubted anyone but us would ever be able to notice, but it wasn't the degree that mattered. It was a real shift in the air between us. Michelle didn't seem to be so persistently aware of me anymore, and I started to feel more relaxed in his presence. I didn't have to prove anything to anyone here, in part because it didn't pry into my personal life, but also because my time was so limited, I didn't have any reasons to keep up a front anymore. The biggest factor, though, was that no one here knew who I was. Oh, so you're not Imion. Okay. From time to time, Imion and I would have supper together. I wasn't going out of my way to spend time with him, but I didn't particularly mind it either. I had no reason to. We stayed out of each other's business, and we both knew it was a temporary arrangement. As his disease worsened, his once exasperating vigor started to seem more and more obviously like a facade. When he spoke, it was like I could hear the remnants of his fading soul spill out with each gravelly syllable. It was getting difficult to make out what he said at all, but still he persisted to act as though nothing was wrong around me. So I acted in kind, making sure not to touch on his deteriorating condition. You know, we never did get around to talking about my adventures. Nobody's stopping you. You could just be honest and say it when I hear them. I can see it in your eyes. You love adventure stories. Not only that, you want to go on some yourself. He did, though. I could not be further from the truth. Alright, let's see. How about the story about the battle in the Northlands? About 5 years back, I was traveling the lands far north. Heavy snowfall covered the land in the winter, stretching as far as the eye can see, and with the arrival of spring, it would melt and rejuvenate the earth. It was a lot colder up north than it is down here, but the land was fertile nonetheless. And naturally, where there's fertile land, there's people fighting over it. Two countries, one to the east and one to the west, vied for the control of this particular area. I watched the battle from the safety of a nearby hill. At the theater of this battle was a large plain, a sea seated to the north. Separating the two was a river flowing south from the sea. It wasn't a very deep river though. Both horses and the infantry could cross it, albeit with some difficulty. The Western army attacked first. They outnumbered and were better equipped than the Eastern army. Their soldiers were well trained and commanders sharp. Planning and organizing allowed them to cross the river with ease. And once they were on the other side, they stormed the Eastern army. Now, how do you suppose the battle went? It wouldn't make for a good story if the Western army simply went on to defeat the Eastern army. Because you're asking, I presume the Eastern army had something up their sleeve. Jeez, you're the worst kind of person to tell a story to, buddy. Play along at least, would you? I hate to burst your bubble, but I'm not a child listening to a bedtime story. Well, you're right about one thing. I would have framed things differently if the Western army was gonna win. Maybe gone into detail about how advanced their equipment was, how strong the soldiers were, and name dropped a commander or two. But no, the Western army did not conquer the Eastern army. In fact, they were both defeated. Oh. Yep, thanks to the intervention of a third force. Now, where do you suppose this mysterious third force came from? It was the Danes. The Danes? Denmark? Or is the Danes something else? You gotta be kidding me, you suck at this! Given what you described, two sides divided by a river flowing from the sea to the north, the larger Western army crossing over to take the Eastern army by surprise, the logical conclusion is that a third force would travel down the aforementioned river. Neither side had ships able to sail such shallow waters, so they didn't anticipate an attack from the river. The Danes to the north, however, have numerous ships capable of exactly that. That's why they're feared as the Lords of the Sea. Yep, that's exactly right. Thanks for skipping all the good parts and going straight to the answer. A fleet of ships with dragon heads on both ends sailed down the river after the Western army crossed, quickly making land. The Danes are fearsome warriors, and big boys at that. He attacked both armies from behind, taking them out in no time, and the land fell into the hands of the invaders from the north. Then, once it was all over, I hauled ass right the hell out of there. I've only read of the Danes' fearsome prowess in books. For you to witness an actual ambush. Jealous? See what I tell you? You're all about these adventure stories. I am not. Well, I sure am. Danes, they can travel both shallow waters and the open sea. The whole world is at their fingertips. Everyone just thinks they're savages. They don't see their potential. I wonder what's out there, across the seas. What wondrous worlds awaits beyond those waters. I bet it's heaven on earth out there. A land unlike anything you can find it traveling on foot. So long as man infests the surface, you will find no heaven on this earth. I knew you weren't a people person, but hot damn, you're worse than I ever imagined. You can't make it through life on misanthropy and cynicism alone. Someone needs to teach you how to dream, buddy. Dreams are just that. Fantasies never to be realized. Dreams are freedom. Doesn't matter if you're a sick or sinner, infirm or exiled, you can go anywhere inside your head. You'll have complete and absolute freedom in your dreams. All empty hopes and dreams do is erode the spirit. I gave up on mine for a reason. If I were in good health, I could have asked the Danes to take me on one of their longships. Bring me somewhere far, far away from here. A place where everyone's equal. No poor and no rich to oppress them. No one's being judged for their looks or the family they were born into. I could have gone on another adventure. Brought you along this time. Found our paradise. I'm pretty sure the only way you're getting on a longship is as a captive to the Danes. Remember what I said about dreams, like 3 seconds ago? Shove that silly realism into a box and lock it up. You can dream whatever sort of crazy, outrageous nonsense you... Hear me on? Don't worry about... Okay, so back to story time. After I escaped from the Danes, I crossed paths with this incredible bard. This one's gonna blow your mind, I'm sure. I didn't tell him not to push himself. He knew his own condition far better than me. I didn't have to tell him continuing was a bad idea. My role was to be quiet and listen. Emion then sung for me the song he supposedly learned from the bard. I could sing way better than this back then, he said with a strained laugh before beginning the raspy ballad. Every note melted into a sort of indistinct flat buzz, but it was still somehow pleasant to listen to. Perhaps because I could imagine what his voice may have sounded like in its prime. A bright, optimistic, unwavering, powerful voice. All the more enchanting because it existed only in my imagination. As I listened to him sing, so much that I had kept sealed away slowly crept back to the surface. I felt like I was being whisked away into a far distant world, by the tales of these exploits and the bard's song. With Emion, his hand held out, waiting to take mine. The words, "Let's set off to a new world, buddy," on his lips. But his time on this earth was drawing to a close. Those fantasies faded to fade into nothing. You aren't seriously going to make friends with him, are you? I thought you were better than that. Or do you think you'll get something out of this? Well, you're sorely mistaken. You've forgotten what you truly are, and gotten into your head that you can be equals with him. Your heart brims with blight. Yet here you are grasping at companionship, knowing full well it's but a fleeting illusion. What do you have to gain from forging a friendship with him? Already tired of me, are you, my dear? Very well, I shall take my leave. Despite what they may say, I'm a very kind-hearted girl. To those whose fates are sealed, that is. I pray you're blessed with wonderful dreams tonight. That night, I had a dream. Not a nightmare, nor a dream of the past. A warm, pleasant, slightly bittersweet dream. I hadn't had one like this in quite some time. An endless field stretched out before us. We pushed our way through the sea of waist-high grass, pressing onward toward the ever-distant horizon. A spring breeze whisked past, caressing my cheek. At my side stood a man beaming as bright as the sun. He had hair of deep scarlet, like the color of the setting sun. His eyes were unflinching, his lips showing his strong resolve. His chest was smooth and muscular, and he had a musky scent. It was my first time seeing his face, but I knew exactly who he was. Not much farther now, the man spoke. Our paradise is just up ahead. His lips curled up. It was a smile that might look condescending on any other face, but on his, it seemed perfectly natural, not a trace of disdain. In fact, anything but a cocky smirk would have seemed out of place, which made reality that much more bitter. Here on the other side of the sea, in this beautiful land, no one will think less of us for anything. If someone happens to find out about you, no one's gonna make a big deal out of it. And no one's gonna be afraid of my disease. I was well aware of the fact that it was a dream, and I thought it's a rather cruel one. Emion was right. I did love adventure stories, and I did want to go on one on my own. This was the very thing I had wished for since I was a child. 2 men setting out together, free from obligations, on a journey to see the world. Exploring the unknown and sharing the experience with a dear friend. But it could never happen. Not so long as I was who I was. And not so long as Emion was sick and on the verge of death. It was a dream we could never make come true, no matter how badly we wanted it, no matter how hard we fought for it. It wasn't an entirely impossible dream though. There was one part of it that could become reality. The 2 of us becoming friends. There was probably enough time before he died for me to get close enough to tell him how I really felt. That I just wanted a friend. That I wanted to be able to laugh and frown and get upset like an ordinary guy. Like him. There may be time, but that's not enough. I had spent too much of my life isolated. I had almost irreversibly adapted to the solitude. Breaking through the shell would be no easy task, especially not with my unspeakable secret hovering over me. The very fact of my nature, which had transformed me from the namesake of an angel into an abominable demon that didn't deserve to live. Something I couldn't tell anyone, couldn't let anyone find out. Which meant that a normal friendship was impossible for me to form. And I knew that far too well. That night, I had a dream. Not a nightmare, not a dream of the past. A warm, pleasant, slightly bittersweet dream. I hadn't had one like this in quite some time. An endless field stretched out before us. We pushed our way through the sea of waist-high grass, pressing onward toward the ever-distant horizon. A spring breeze whisked past, caressing my cheek. At my side stood a man with somewhat forlorn look on his face. He had a long silver hair that fluttered in the wind. A darkness was visible beneath the pale red of his eyes, and his lips were furled into a half-scowl. He was tall enough that I had to look up at him. The man furrowed his brow, as if to scorn the shining sun for daring to be brighter than the candlelight he was used to. It was my first time getting a good look at him. I might have gotten some of the smaller details wrong, but it was still very distinctly the Michelle I knew. I pointed toward the horizon and said, "That's where our paradise awaits." He didn't seem to believe we would actually find anything, but still he joined me on my endless journey with nary a complaint. So all it takes is bringing him into my dreams to drag the cynicism out of him, huh? I thought. Is that something you can actually do? Then with a laugh, I said, "We would make pretty good friends, don't you think?" His eyes swam for a few moments before he finally muttered a response. Many years ago, I dreamed of having something like that. You gotta be a little more specific. Like my 2 brothers. Keep going. Someone I could share anything with, and could do the same with me. Someone who understands me without needs or words. The classic image of a friend. 2 guys who've always got each other's backs. Michel crossed his arms and turned his head away. He might have even blushed, but I couldn't see for sure. I had mixed feelings, though mostly I was glad to hear he felt that way, and I wanted to make that dream come true. Will you be just like that? You'll see, buddy. Another breath of a wind blew past. I was pretty sure I was smiling. The way I always did. The way I always pretended to. My self-confident, utterly vacuous smirk. If we really got to know each other, there was no way we would ever be friends. True friendship was impossible to achieve between us, and I knew that far too well. Okay, I awoke in darkness, in a house where the time of my day had held no meaning. The same sights awaited me every morning. Before I had fully grown accustomed to the full world without light, the uncertainty of it had occasionally morphed into fear. My instincts reacting, I presumed. Danger was harder to perceive in the dark, after all. But once I had gotten used to it, the darkness felt almost compassionate with its indiscriminating embrace. And now, I was more stable here than I was in the light. This morning was an unusually pleasant one, though. All my problems were still problems, my curses still curses, but I felt I had managed to break the surface and catch my breath for the first time in who knows how many years. Perhaps I could thank the dream I'd had. I rolled out of bed, grabbing the candlestick on my nightstand. With the remains of the mostly melted one, I lit a new candle and headed for the door. Next on my list was a fireplace. I tried to make sure there was always at least a small flame in it. But as soon as I stepped out into the hall... What are you doing here? I found myself face to face with Imion, although that was an entirely accurate description, as he was slouched against the wall across from my door. Morning, Michelle? I couldn't help but cringe at the sight of him, still insists on keeping up his everything's alright act. What are you doing? Seems pretty obvious to me. Well, it isn't to me. You're clearly in no condition to be walking around. It's come. What has? My time. The light from the candle flooded about, slightly offset from the trembling of my bony hand. But Imion, he was so visibly shaking, enough that I probably could have seen it even without a dim candlelight. Not out of fear or cold, but simply a physiological reaction to his condition. His breath sounded like puffs of wind, the whoosh of a bitter winter morning echoing in the hall. His arms and legs were so atrophied that if I didn't know better, I might think him a small tree withering away in the fierce cold at the first glance. My gaze slowly drifted downward, stopping at his splayed arms. Blotches of red were visible on the palms of his hand. Is this the curse that Maria died from? But he should have died much earlier in that case. Did you cough that up? I almost reflexively made to draw nearer, but it stopped me after only one step. No, stay back. Don't touch me. You might catch it. We've been living here together, breathing the same air. If I were going to catch it, I would have already. The fact that I haven't shows that it's not an infectious disease. Maybe. Maybe not. But either way, you shouldn't touch the blood. You know, as well as I do, that blood is unclean. It carries everything in our bodies, even diseases. You may be able to catch it from the blood, even if you didn't from anything else. So I figured I'd drop on by, say my goodbyes. Say your... I stopped myself before finishing the sentence, realizing just how foolish it would make me sound. I was the one who had told him to leave when he knew his time was up. But that was back then. That was just how I felt when he first showed up. If I'm real lucky, I have maybe a couple days left. I've been hiding it, but it's been hard to even stand these last few days. You did a terrible job of it. Although, I didn't realize you were in quite such a bad shape. Well, I guess I get a passing score on my acting then. How can you laugh about this? I'm in a great mood. That's ridiculous, you can't be. Just drop the act already. It's no act, bud. I'm serious. I'm feeling great. I had a fantastic time. And what better way to show that than with a nice laugh. Looking down on this man laughing as the depth crept closer, I didn't feel pity or sorrow or anguish. I was angry. My chest clenched and my stomach lurched. Ugh, how aggravating. There was something else there too, some other way I could describe it. But I didn't know what the feeling was. I couldn't draw it to the surface. It was aggravating, frustrating, sickening. Those simple negative emotions were what I kept falling back to. I wanted to block it all out. Emil's deteriorating body. The comforting dream. My own circumstances. This dark mansion. The whole world. I had an amazing time here with you. Seriously. Stop it. You're just getting sentimental. letting your emotions cloud your memory. I've done nothing for you. Think about your time before you got sick, when you were with your friends and family. Think about the time you spent traveling. Then you'll realize how insignificant your time here really was. It was all a lie. What? I was never a traveler. My name isn't even Imion. I never went to the Northlands, and I never saw the Danes. Even what I said about having a ton of friends. All lies. Here's the truth. I look like I came from the slums now, but I was born into a decently upper-class family. My father and brothers all owned several estates. I wasn't traveling when I got sick, but at home. And for a while, I was kept locked up to keep it under wraps. I spent my life doing everything asked of me for them, and they turned on me the second I caught this damn disease. The servants I thought respected me, the brothers I thought loved me, they all wanted nothing to do with me anymore. Before long, they started saying it was punishment for my transgressions. That I was cursed to transform into a hideous monster, because I deserved it. Real swell family, huh? The disease hadn't progressed this far then either. So I still looked, well, half decent at least. A pretty damn good looking guy, if I do say so myself. So I used to manipulate one of the maidservants into helping me escape. And that's how my life as a nomad really began. So while I was something of a traveler, I was carrying some pretty big luggage along with me. Everywhere I went, I was treated like garbage. The Imion you met, brimming with self-confidence, was all an act. I'm sorry for lying to you. Why? Why'd I pretend to be someone I'm not? Because... No, I don't care about that. Why didn't you say something sooner? Imion's story, his life, was painfully similar to my own. I had been called a demon, mocked and insulted, made out to be a madman, and then locked away where no one could see me. Everyone I had thought to be on my side turned against me. You should have told me! Cracks began to form in the thick shell I had spent so long building around myself. Sharp claws dug their way through the flesh of my heart, which I hadn't thought long since numb. Thick blood seeped from within me. It was absurd. If anyone here was hurting, it was Imion. If I had known... If I had known... I could have done something? Was that where I was going with this? That I could have told him about my own past and we could have bonded over our suffering? No, that wasn't how it would have gone. If Imion had told me that what he had been through right off, I would have seen so much of myself in him that I'd have likely detested him for it. I wouldn't have wanted to get to know him better. I wouldn't have wanted to even see him. I suspected pretty early on that you'd been through something similar. That you weren't here on your own will. And from your mannerisms, that you came from a noble family. Which is why I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want you to think that was why I was here. I didn't stay because we both led tragic lives. That's not why I find it so comfortable here. Everything about how I presented to you was a facade, which is precisely why I was able to be myself. I can't tell you how wonderful it felt for you to accept me for me. I didn't. You didn't have to do anything. That was enough to set me free. I could feel sweat trailing down my neck, the back of my neck. I couldn't follow along, couldn't make sense of what he was saying. My heart was wavering, but I couldn't put any of it into words. What were you supposed to say to that? I hadn't the first idea. And with the way I had lived my life, the way I had closed myself off, I would never know. So I wanna thank you. Goodbye, Michelle. Imion let out a long sigh. Like his nerves had loosened all at once now that he had said his piece. He then climbed to his feet using the wall for support, let out a couple muffled coughs, and started off down the hall, leaving me behind. Wait, Imion! The shackles around my spirit were on the verge of coming off. Everything I'd worked so hard to bury was bubbling to the surface. The man I had killed in order to survive in this empty darkness was being infused with life anew. I was opening myself up. Wait, I lied too. Or, I mean, what I said then isn't true now. I don't want you to leave anymore. I don't care if you've only got a few days left. You'll last longer here than you will ever out there. So, what? You're gonna take me in and nurse me? Exactly. Emeon. It's damn tempting, but no thanks. Why? I'm sorry. Why? The first person I ever met who I could ever have possibly called an equal, a friend, was trying to withdraw from my life. Forever. Something inside me cracked and something inside me formed anew. Morgana! Morgana! Morgana, I know you're listening! Michelle. Cure him, please! That's enough, Michelle. The witch isn't just a legend. She doesn't have a physical form, but she lives here, in this mansion. And she's somewhere nearby, watching everything. Really. It's okay. Believe me! I do believe you. Emeon. It's okay. Thank you. Why are you so insistent on leaving? Didn't you want to talk to the witch? I just think now's the best time to call it quits. But why? I do feel bad about this, for what it's worth. And I'm seriously grateful for you too. That doesn't tell me why. Sorry. Oh, I want you to take what you're feeling right now and keep it with you. You. What? Seeing the person in yourself will help you see the person in someone else when you next have the chance. Whoever that is, you take him by the hand and get out of here. Go somewhere you both want to be. You may not find paradise, but you'll have a life. What on earth are you talking about? Alright. Now seriously on my last legs. Can't even fake that I'm okay anymore. Emeon. So long. Wait! Michelle. I think we made pretty good friends, don't you? And with that, he marched off down the dark hallway. It was almost unbelievable how sure-footed he seemed compared to only a few moments earlier, and then I realized what it was. His final show of self-confidence. I could have easily caught up to him, but my feet seemed to be rooted to the ground. Maybe because I knew that even if I stopped him, it wouldn't stop me from losing him. Because anything I did would amount to nothing. I slowly dropped to my knees. The candlestick spilled from my hand, the flame flickering out, a heavy darkness draping the hallway. I covered my face and let out a sharp, bitter groan. He had lived here less than a month. We barely knew each other well enough to call ourselves acquaintances, never mind friends. There was no reason for me to be feeling this emptiness. But telling myself that didn't make the pain go away. The pain of having something dear snatched away from you. A pain I had never, ever wanted to have to experience again. I thought I could hear the witch cackling, whispering that opening myself up for one only made me vulnerable. That bringing that dying man into my house was only ever going to leave me feeling all the more lonely. That I always belonged in the darkness, not light. Oh. Yeah. Thank God. He left the bar off. I barely got enough in me to push the door open. Is that really how you want to do this? Oh, it's you. Well, call me surprised. I figured you'd be with Michelle. I'm here to see you off for him. You mean you decided to get more entertainment out of me? A girl with long braided hair stood before me, a smile spread across her lips. Her form was vague, almost a silhouette, and I couldn't make out any details. But I still knew exactly who she was. This wasn't my first encounter with a witch after all. It wasn't, huh? I'd been able to see her and hear her voice. since shortly after arriving at the mansion. When I told Michelle that I believed she existed, I wasn't just saying it, I knew. You're quite the seasoned liar, making out like you're coming clean. And then replacing one set of lies with another. You can still go back and make it right. Tell him the truth and you'll have my wish. Think about it, my dear. So Noble wasn't true either, huh? A few days after taking up lodging at the mansion, the witch appeared before me. She spoke in a pretty but almost childlike voice, explaining how unusual it was that I could see her. Because evidently, no one with a trace of hope in their hearts is capable of seeing me. Okay, I thought it might have been murderers or something like that, but not that Michelle is one actually. Nor Morgana. Giselle. I can hear my voice or even sense my presence. The despair that coursed through Michelle is what served as the catalyst for my resurrection. You're not here to be healed. You want to put a curse on someone, don't you? That's right. Your eyes don't lie. I'm honestly kind of floored right now. First, the witch of legend is real. And second, she's not even human. A mortal could neither cause miracles nor cast curses. Fair enough. So how do you know what I really wanted? It was obvious, my dear. All that murky felt swirling beneath your smiling visage. It's like a window directly into your soul. Sounds like there's no hiding anything from you, so can you just drop the act, huh? Tell me you at least can't hear everything I'm thinking. And what if I can? I would appreciate a little bit of privacy. Fear not, my dear. I don't have the ability to read your mind, no. But you should know that the world as you living see it and the world as I see it are very different things. Emotions, such as your seething animosity and desire to curse, as well as fragments of your memory, are all laid bare to me. I normally wouldn't bother sparing anyone a moment of my time. I have a mission to accomplish, and I would like Michelle to accompany me on a long journey to its completion, so I don't have time to distract myself with anything else. If you were indeed nothing but a needlessly optimistic fool coming in search of miracles, I would have done everything in my power to chase you out. So I can assume the fact that I'm still here means you've taken at least something of an interest in me then. Indeed, for you were broken enough to come seeking me. Then I'll get straight to the point. I want you to curse my family. Every last one of those damn Castagners. Oh! Fuck! The family that was going to marry into Michelle's family. So they were nobles. He was a noble. Okay. That's my final wish. The last thing I want from this life. I gave my whole life for my family. Sacrificed everything. And they repay me with derision. Hell, making me into a demon. I'm here, sick and miserable. No one gives a rat's ass. They need to experience the living hell I had to endure. I can't go in peace until they have. It would be my pleasure. Wait, seriously? What, do you not believe me? No, I just didn't think it would be that easy. Oh, on one condition though. I will only offer my sincerest wishes for your family's utter devastation, so long as you offer me something in return. Now that sounds more like the wish I was expecting. So what do you want from me? My life? A sack of gold? My resources are a bit limited, but let's hear it. Michelle's spirit. Excuse me? I told you I wanted Michelle to accompany me on my journey, but too much of his worldly concerns remain for him to be of any use to me right now. He still racks his mind over trifling drivel. That stone-faced Michelle? He has actual worries? It's all an act. For now, that is. I want you to crush his spirit, transform it into something more fitting for my purposes. And then I will make your wish mine. That sweet voice makes what you're asking all the more frightening. So how do I go about it? Start by using your head, my dear. It was worth a shot. That said, I will give you a hint. You have at your disposal everything you need to become exactly what he desires most. It didn't take long around Michel to figure out what the witch meant. There was one thing he very clearly sought. It was something I was, presently, capable of making myself into. I had everything one would need to slip through the cracks in the wall around his heart. I was on the verge of death. I didn't know a thing about him or his personal life. And I was a man. Michel seemed to have trust issues when it came to women. He had no interest in lovers or a romantic partner, but a peer, a male friend. I guess Michel had probably been subjected to countless betrayals over the years. His mother, father, siblings, loved ones, but probably never at the hands of a friend. I doubt that he'd even had a real friend before. So Morgana's proposal was for me to become his friend and then betray him. There's still time for you to go back in there and reveal everything. To see your wish to fruition. You could even ask for a miracle instead of a curse. To rid what ails you. Don't bother. I'm not interested in any of that anymore. I'm just going to go back out into the forest and die. So, nope. So you won't get me to go back there. I don't understand. What on earth brought you to this decision? I stopped caring about getting back at my family. That hatred was what had kept me going for so long. It was what had driven me to wander in search of the cursed mansion. I had, in service of it, feigned getting friendly with Michel, until at some point, it stopped being fake. I had found something more valuable than petty vengeance, and I wanted to live the rest of my life, and then die, for that. With a bit more time, maybe I could have even told him that he'd pulled me up from such a dark place. And then, were it within my power, I'd like to have done the same for him. But that was a dream beyond my reach. He would have remained in its darkness for a while yet. I can understand losing interest in cursing them, but you're ignoring the other part of my offer. That I could wish for a miracle. Perhaps you don't believe the cursed witch can perform miracles. But you would be mistaken, my dear. In life, do you know what I was called? A saint. Well, you're a saint with one hell of a mean streak. Now that was hardly called for. I'll pass on your miracle too. Can't imagine it comes free of charge when the curse had a price. You want me to go in and tell him everything, right? What do you have to lose? What possible reason could there be for you to hesitate? That should be obvious, even to you. I want him to think of me as a friend. That is what he wanted after all. A peer, a male friend. So if I'm gonna go, I want to go out as that. You would give up your chance at life for something so utterly meaningless. I don't care how stupid you think it is. I didn't have enough time to pull him out of his dark place. But if at least he remembered me as a friend, and that had some positive effect on him, however insignificant, I much preferred that to anything the witch was proposing. Just don't you go blabbing once I'm gone. I can't make any promises, my dear. Just say a word to him, and I'll curse you. My heavens, so you're picking a fight with a witch? Do you honestly believe you can curse me? You bet I can. I could well turn into a witch just like you, once I'm dead. You very well could. You have all the makings of a fine witch. But you can rest easy, my dear. I won't be saying anything to him about you, because you're too inconsequential to be worth mentioning again. That's actually true, because you were never mentioned in the main game. I beg your pardon? Are you gonna make Michel forget about him? At the end of it all, the only one Michel truly needs is me. What he wants is a curse, and I'm the only one who can provide it. You pretend to be his friend for a few weeks, but in years' time, that memory will have eroded away into nothing. Your death will amount to nothing. All you did was cast a light on his isolation. And sooner or later, I'll transform him into an inhuman spirit who lives only to spread curses, much like myself. Now that I can say you're wrong about. There's more care and understanding in him than you realize. He hides it, but it's there. Don't fool yourself. The whole world isn't going to bend to your whims, Morgana. There's nothing left that I could do. I couldn't leave any more of a mark on him, nor could I free him from her grip. But someday, someone would appear. Man, woman, friend, lover, it didn't matter. Someone would enter his life, take him by the hand, and lead him out of this cursed mansion. Someone would drag him out of his darkness. Well, you turned out to be quite a disappointment. Everything I once saw in your eyes has been purified away into nothingness. Mark my words, all your hopes will be in vain. And you can watch from the afterlife, helpless as everything I said comes to pass. And I'll be praying from the pearly gates that you're wrong. Well, this is where we part ways then. Farewell, Noemi. Who the fuck is Noemi? Imeon backwards. Okay. Until our souls cross paths once more in the boundless sphere of fate. So, Noemi, is that supposed to mean something? Looks like this is as far as I go. Can't see a damn thing anymore. But hey, it could be worse. I feel like I've been set free. Like all my shackles have been loosed. I've found one thing to appreciate about this disease. It gave me the chance in my life to be myself. Hey, Michelle, we're not that different after all. You were my first friend, too. My real name was Noemi Castagnier. Imeon, the name I went by, was just my first name spelled backwards, but truth be told, I was pretty fond of it. Yeah, it's a much easier name. Anything else I might have come up with would have probably given away my gender straight off. So you were a woman as well, huh? Nearly everything I told Michelle was a lie. From claiming I was a guide to the store on my escape. I hadn't used my good looks to trick a maidservant into helping, but instead manipulated a manservant. But looking back on it now, that it was all over, I felt like the fake me, Imeon, was more me than the real thing. I'd always felt constricted my whole life. Nothing but barriers from the day I was born. I loved playing music, writing stories, running, riding a horse, swinging a sword, anything that gave me some sort of freedom. But I was only allowed to do that until I was about 10 years old, at which point my life became training in everything I needed to be married off to some nobleman. I still remember those days vividly. Did they ever say what her name was? Because now I'm guessing that you were supposed to marry Didier or Georges. Sitting stone still, staring out the window while I had my portrait painted. Yeah. I caught sight of a large bird taking off to fly north, watching it flap its heavy wings. I fantasized about riding the bird off somewhere far away, to a beautiful, boundlessly lush land that no one had ever seen before. I would found my own nation, and I would be its first citizen. It would be a land without unfair rules and customs. A land where everyone was equal. Man, woman, young, old, a smile on everyone's face. And you would be free to choose who you spend your life with. There would be no nobility, and there would be no slaves. And in this land, I would finally be able to find my true self. Michelle? Michelle? Oh, wait. That's the wrong Michelle. That's the male Michelle, the spelling. Oh goodness, what are you doing in here? Oh, Mother. Still looking at that painting, are you? Yes, there's something about it. You agree with me, don't you? It's a wonderful proposition, but your brother never seemed to want to listen to me. We'll have to return the painting to the Castagniers. And after they went through all that trouble. Indeed. But all that aside, it's time for supper, Michelle. We're celebrating Didier's return tonight, so don't you dawdle. You needed to be there and show him how much you love him. Yes, Mother. I will be right down. Don't keep us waiting. It's been bothering me. Why I couldn't take my eyes off the painting of the Castagniers girl. But I think I figured it out. That forlorn look in her eyes was more than a resignation in those eyes, a trace of longing lurking within them as well. She was looking out at a faraway world, distant not only in physical location from her own, but in time as well. A boundless stream dwelled in her heart. I found myself slipping into her place, fantasizing about the same distant land. A place where I was allowed to be myself. And if, by some chance, I were able to make it there, would I find you there? Noemi. No, that's when they told us her name. I think we made pretty good friends, don't you? Those were his last words before disappearing into the darkness. Their time together was brief and they knew nearly nothing of each other, so could they in fact be called friends at all? Could you be friends with someone so nearly a stranger you didn't know where they came from, or who they truly were beneath the surface? Had they known, though, were they aware of each other's inner selves, never would they have been able to become friends at all. Never? Okay. We made pretty good friends. It was precisely because the two knew nothing that they were able to know one another. Complete Assento, Dele, a friend by another name. That is interesting, though, that they could never be friends because they knew, if they knew who the other were. That essentially what I'm getting is that they would be resenting each other so much because of how much they see of themselves in the other person. So they could never be friends. Which is an interesting take, because that is usually how it not is. When you see someone that is like you, both positives and negatives, unless it is something that you hate, that is something that will bond you. In this case, they were looking for freedom. Not sure if Noemi wanted to be a man, was a trans man, but they did say that they felt more like themselves as Imion. So maybe she was maybe that was a trans man as well. But it's interesting that they could never be friends if they knew who they were. Interesting. Not sure if I enjoyed that last part, but the rest of the story was really good, honestly. I really liked it. Very bittersweet throughout the entire thing. But that will be the end of today's video. And I think I will actually take a short break from this. Both from these Monday, Tuesday videos, but also from the House of Fata Morgana for a while. Because I am playing a lot right now and I have a full-time job as well. So I am kind of tired at the moment. So I will take a break, a week, maybe two, from this series. And maybe even start a new game, because I'm not so keen on Requiem. I played the entire main game. I played Assento, Dele, but I'm not sure if I care for the rest, honestly. My experience haven't been that good. It's not bad, but it wasn't good enough, you know. But I've been happy enough to have played it. So that said, I will be taking a break, and I will be seeing you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for watching, and an extra thank you to all members of this channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys sometime in the future. Goodbye, everyone.